What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, we are here to take a look at one of the first big spooky titles for the fall of 2023, and that is Sleepy Hollow on 4K from Paramount. So I am very excited to get into this one. We're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about the movie, the audio-visual quality, the special features, the packaging, all that stuff. I'm going to break it all down and paint an overall picture and let you know if this is worth a pickup or not. But before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We talk about 4Ks and Blu-rays and owning the movies that you love, physical media here on this channel every single day. So if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button. Like I said, this is the first big spooky title of the fall. There are many more to come. I'm going to be trying to cover as many as possible. So subscribe to the channel for all the future videos. Turn on the bell notifications for all of those future videos as well. And let's go ahead and get into it. So I do like talking about the actual film first before I dive into all the technical specs. This movie came out in 1999, directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. And I have loved this movie for as far back as I can remember. I remember seeing the trailer to this film when I was a kid, whether or not I saw it in the theaters or at home, but I was just creeped out by the trailer. And I knew that Tim Burton had directed this. And I talked about this before, but Tim Burton was one of those directors that early on, I think he was the first director that I knew by name because I grew up with Beetlejuice and the Batman movies. But this was the first movie that he came out with that was that really leaned into the horror. Like, he's always done like horror adjacent films or horror comedies, or there's always been a hint of horror in the stuff that he's done. But this is the first movie where I felt like he fully leaned into that. And this movie's rated R. It's very brutal. It's very gory. And I just think that it's Tim Burton at his most unhinged as far as a director, because he's just allowed, it feels like he's unleashed. It feels like he's allowed to go places that he just never went before. And notoriously, Tim Burton was very angry when he made this movie. And I feel like that rubs off into the actual film itself, because he was supposed to do the Superman Returns movie with Nicolas Cage, and that got scrapped by Warner Brothers. So by the time that he made this, that had just happened. And I feel like he took all of that pent-up frustration and aggression and put it into this movie, and it really shows. This film, like I said, is very brutal. I feel like of all of Tim Burton's movies from the 80s and the 90s, and we could debate this back and forth, but I feel like this is one of the ones that aged the best. Like, I feel like this movie gets better as it gets older, and it is a period piece film taking place back in the 1700s. It's like getting ready to be the 1800s, or the dawn of the 19th century. It, of course, is telling a familiar story. You got Ichabod Crane in this film. It's telling the story of the legend of Sleepy Hollow based on the Washington Irving novel or short story from the 1800s. So there's a lot of lore here. There's a lot of familiar stuff. It's one of the few like American fairy tales, if you want to say that. I think Christina Ricci actually says that in one of the special features. So I've just always loved this movie, and now I would probably say it's top 3 or it's top 2 Burton movies for me. Like, Beetlejuice is my number 1. I might put Sleepy Hollow right behind it because I just think it ages so wonderfully. It's a gothic film. Like I said, very horrific, very brutal, but it's also kind of a romance as well between Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. There's a little bit of that romance. There's a lot of mystery in this film. There's a lot of political intrigue. I like how they take the concept of the Headless Horseman and they actually weave in a pretty cool story, a pretty intriguing story about a family, and there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of, like I said, political intrigue. There's an inheritance that's at stake here. So there's a lot of cool things that they add into this story to kind of make it their own. And I think it all plays wonderfully throughout the film. You're left guessing all the way into the very end. And Johnny Depp, like, I've never been the biggest fan of Johnny Depp. I will admit that right now. I think he's great in this movie. And I honestly think it might be my favorite Johnny Depp performance. I love him in Nightmare on Elm Street. I love him in Cry Baby as well. Those are like my other 2 movies I like Johnny Depp in. But everything else, he's just so outlandish. He's so like forcibly trying to be this character actor. He's always trying to play this like big bombastic, like of another world type character, and I can just never buy into his performance. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, he's great in the first one, but then it just becomes a stick, and then you got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I hate him in all those movies. It just felt like after, I don't know, the Pirates of the Caribbean, he was always trying to be like this character just kind of outlandish character. And in this movie, I like him because he's very grounded. He has a wit to him, a dry wit to him. He's comedic. He's also has a lot of emotional depth because it goes into his backstory with him and his mom. And I just think he pulls off this performance of Ichabod Crane so wonderfully. So I love him in this film. Christina Ricci, I had a crush on her when I was a kid, like The Addams Family, Casper, and then this was the first movie that I remember watching where I was like, wow, Christina Ricci, she's a woman now. She's fantastic in this movie, beautiful as always. I love Christina Ricci, and I just think that her and Johnny Depp have fantastic chemistry all throughout this film. You got Christopher Walken as the villain, as the Headless Horseman. You don't see him a lot in the movie because obviously it's the Headless Horseman. He doesn't have his head on. But he plays the Horseman before he gets his head chopped off, like the Legend of the Horseman. And then you see him like at the very end. That's probably maybe my only main criticism of this movie because it's Christopher Walken, and I just know Christopher Walken from everything else. It's almost like I would have rather than done like a more unknown person to play that role, because when you see him, it's like, oh, that's just Christopher Walken with teeth and he's growling. It's like, it's a little ridiculous. But that's probably maybe my only complaint. But this film is brutal, though. It really goes for it. Like, there's a scene with the family that always gets me. I cannot believe they even went there. Because I love just how they portray the violence, just how they'll chop off a head and it's like rolling down the hill. And it's a little bit like, a little ridiculous the way they portray it, but I think it works for this type of film. And yeah, I love it. Danny Elfman does the score to this film. I think it's a wonderful score. There's other people in this movie that you'll recognize. It has Jeffrey Jones in it. It's got a lot of the Tim Burton mainstays are in this film. You have Ian McDermott, who plays Emperor Palpatine. He's in this film, and this is the same year that Phantom Menace came out as well. So he was doing that around the same time. It's also got the Alfred from Batman 89 and Batman Returns, Batman Forever, or the Alfred from all the 90s Burton Schumacher movies is in this film as well. And I'm trying to think just off the top. Casper Van Dien's in this film from Starship Troopers. He's really good for the role he has. It's kind of a smaller role, but I think he's pretty good in this movie. But yeah, overall, guys, this is one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. I absolutely love this film. If I had to give it a score, I'd give it like a 4.5 out of 5. I love the movie. I think it has those fall vibes, so it's like the perfect movie to watch around the Halloween season. So absolutely recommend this film. Now let's go ahead and get into the 4K transfer here. And this is where I really have to hype up and praise Paramount. And I almost feel like I have to overcompensate for all the crap that they always get. It's like when you say that something's coming out from Paramount on 4K, whenever I announce something is coming out from Paramount on 4K, I'm always met with it'll probably be a crap transfer anyway. There's always that group of people. It's like, it's probably going to be crap because, you know, deservedly so. I mean, Paramount kind of built that reputation for themselves, you know, and it kind of came to a head last year with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. People are just, they look at Paramount and they don't see quality when it comes to their 4K restorations. They have really been stepping it up, though. I would say ever since Dragon Slayer that came out back in March, Flashdance looked great. Truman Show looked great. Ferris Bueller is one of the best looking 4K restorations that I've seen all year. And they have delivered maybe my favorite restoration of all of 2023 here with Sleepy Hollow. And I could not be any more excited to tell you guys that this looks freaking phenomenal on 4K. This is a native 4K restoration, Dolby Vision, HDR10. And I'm telling you guys right now, super awesome transfer by Paramount. This looks freaking great across the board. Like the entire film, there is no weak moments of this 4K restoration. Super clean, super pristine. Everything looks phenomenal. This movie, I just knew it was going to look good because of just how dark that it is. And it's dark in nature, but it's also just dark in the look and the aesthetic of the film. It's very gloomy. But when you have all these characters with these pale white faces that are just highlighted by Tim Burton when he made this movie, the cinematography of those pale white faces with that dark background, the dark trees and the grounds and the buildings and the skies, all that stuff just contrasted together with the black levels. You have the dark outfits that everybody's wearing, and that's just contrasted like perfectly. It just looks so good and adds such a rich depth to the picture quality. You just feel like you can just reach out and touch the screen. Like there's just so much depth there. There's so much weight to this transfer, and it just looks great. Like this is honestly just as good as anything that Vinegar Syndrome has put out, Arrow Video has put out, Criterion. This is up there, one of the best 4K restorations of 2023, and I couldn't be any more happy because I love this movie and I wanted Paramount to do a good job on this one. I mean, I compared it to the Blu-ray as well. I've got this Blu-ray Steelbook right here, and there is a new Steelbook with this 4K as well. Good luck finding it at this point. I think it's pretty much sold out. I'm kind of sore about that, but I do have this Blu-ray Steelbook right here, which does have the same image of Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci on the back. But the Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray is in this set as well, and it's the same Blu-ray. The Blu-ray came out in 2006, like right at the beginning of the Blu-ray run. So this was in desperate need of an upgrade, and that Blu-ray still looks like a little DVD quality when you're watching it. It's good. You can tell it's in HD, but like it kind of looks a little DVD quality when you're watching it. So it's got that grit to it. It's got that little fuzziness here and there and around. This gets rid of all of that. This is a super clean, like I said, pristine transfer, such depth. You can see everything, make out every single detail. Such great set design too. So you really needed that extra detail to be able to appreciate the work that was done on the actual set design of this movie. So I can't say enough good things about it, guys. I know I'm gushing. I may be over hyping this transfer. You may watch and be like, that's not the best of the year, Ken. But I'm telling you right now, I've seen so many good transfers this year. It's not even funny. I'm telling you right now, this is one of the absolute best 4K restorations of 2023. I highly recommend it. If you were on the fence, you said, I got the Blu-ray, that's good enough for Sleepy Hollow. This Blu-ray doesn't look great. This 4K is fantastic. This movie deserved that upgrade, and it looks great. And the blood and the gore, there's tons of blood, like I said, and gore in this movie, and that with the reds, they all look great. There's a scene where Johnny Depp's like, you know, axing that tree and the blood's flying in his face. Just the redness of that blood contrasted with the white of his face looks fantastic. So this transfer is so freaking good. I loved it. Getting into the sound, this is a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, so no sound upgrade here. It's the same as the Blu-ray, but everything sounded great. You got the great, wonderful Danny Elfman doing the score. I love the music. I love how that sounds, but there's just a fierceness to the sound of this movie. You can hear the horses galloping when he comes. You can hear the sword swiping a head off. So you hear a lot of that sound stuff very well. It's just a nice, robust, full-bodied sound with this 5.1. So could have been an improvement if they did a 7.1 or a Dolby Atmos. I think it could have, but you know, they had the 5.1 and it sounds fine. Getting into the special features, there is nothing new here. You have all the special features on the Blu-ray disc that were the same special features that were on the previous Blu-rays that came out. So I wish they would have done some new special features. I always complain about that though with everybody. Like, give me something. Give me a new audio commentary. Give me a couple of new interviews. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just give me something with this new edition of the 4K that you're putting out. So that's a little bit of a disappointment because they could have got Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci. They could have got anybody to come back and talk about this movie in a retrospective sense. And I just don't know why they don't put the effort into that kind of stuff. Do they think that people don't like that kind of stuff? I don't get it. But yeah, that's a pretty big, you know, negative with this release. You know, it doesn't weigh it down that much, but anytime there's no special features, I gotta complain about it. Getting into the packaging right here, I didn't love the orange banner when this was first revealed, but in person, it actually goes pretty good and it fits that Halloween vibe with the orange and the pumpkin right there. And you know, you got the regular poster right here with the red font and the black. I think it does look really good right there. So I do like this slipcover. And I'll show you the front. I'll show you the spine, do a little bit of an unboxing here. And on the back right there, you got the synopsis. You got some couple images from the movie, all the specs down there at the bottom. And we'll take it out of the slipcover. I'll show you the regular case right here. Show you the back. You got some more stuff on the back right there. Open it up, you do get a digital code and you get the Blu-ray with all the special features, and then you get the 4K as well. And I think that the audio commentary is only on the Blu-ray. I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing it as an option on the 4K. It might just be on the Blu-ray. I think it's a Tim Burton audio commentary that is present here. So yeah, you get the Blu-ray, you get the 4K, no fancy disc card or anything like that. So it was nice that Paramount at least included the Blu-ray, because Warner Brothers isn't really doing that anymore. So it's nice that Paramount did. So overall, guys, at the end of the day, especially if you're a fan of this film, I do recommend going out and picking this one up. It's currently $25.78 right now on Amazon. I will leave the link for purchase down below in the description. It's a phenomenal looking 4K, and really the only negative here is the fact that it doesn't have any new special features, but that's kind of par for the course when it comes to new studio titles and releases these days. So this is a really great release though from Paramount. Absolutely recommend it. If you're a huge fan of this movie, this will be a great upgrade for you, and I promise you, you are not going to be disappointed. So thank y'all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.